Across the Pond Golf Podcast, a discussion about performance and enjoyment in golf and life.
All right, well, welcome to episode 2 of the Across the Pond Golf Podcast. I'm Chris Durbinick with James Willis and our first ever guest, Mr. Jacob Tilton. So, Jacob, you want to start us off? Maybe tell us a little bit where you are right now, outside of on the golf course, but just where you are in life and living, and start us off, pal.
Definitely. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'm down here in Atlanta, Georgia. It's 50 sunny right now, and I'm on the golf course and one of the other pros here at Ansley and putting in some work. But for me, it's been a really good year. I mean, we had COVID this year. We were shut down for a few months. Obviously, everybody was around the world. Golf really picked up for us, and I couldn't be happier about it. Especially the amount of lessons, the amount we've taught this year, the amount of people we've been able to get back into the game. My background comes from a golfing family. You know, my dad played college golf, same with my brother, same with my uncle. And definitely followed that route with you guys down to Armstrong about 10 years ago, isn't it now?
It's
been a bit.
8 years ago. Time is flying, is it not?
Oh, it really is. You know, getting into golf, it was always a passion of mine, but it was a summer sport. It was May to June, July. It was a summer sport when school was out. We went to the golf course all day. You know, in the fall, it was football. In the wintertime, it was basketball. In the springtime, it was baseball. And that was kind of my cycle all the way up until about 9th grade.
So you had a pretty full-on upbringing with regards to athletics, right?
Oh, yeah. It wasn't just one sport. It was all of them. It was a basketball court built in the backyard. It was, going to football practice in the morning on Saturdays and the afternoon going to the golf course sometimes.
And so what do you think led you to golf over the others?
It was a little bit of injury. Definitely saw too many doctors in middle school and high school from getting hurt in other sports. And then family, watching my older brother play college golf at Kennesaw State, and my dad playing golf at Central Michigan. It was definitely something I wanted to do, to follow in their footsteps. And really, it was that sophomore year of high school through senior year where I really put in the work and the time to make sure that happened.
And
That's
then,
good. Just quickly, I'll just say, so the three of us know each other from obviously going to university together. Now, Jacob, you obviously you're teaching juniors now, and you're doing a lot of teaching and stuff. What type of unfair advantage did you have being a 16, 17-year-old and 6'5", 6'6", playing golf?
It was definitely the distance. Back then, I was able to hit it 305, 310 with, the old technology. I joke it's old technology now, but think about, the 905R driver, the old 906 F23 was. Even before then, I still have some PT3s, and being able to hit those things 275, 280 off the tee and longer. I had a 20, 30-yard advantage on all my competitors.
but do you really think that, have you noticed a massive difference with technology over the last few years, or do you think it's very minimal, the impact that it's having?
It's definitely impacted. Ball speed has gone up, club head speeds have gone up, the tour averages have gone up. That's where I love looking at the shot link data, looking at the strokes gain statistics, and it not just from a distance standpoint, but more forgiveness standpoint. I mean, it's funny. I took a old PT3 wood and then the new TSI threw it up to our set down facility and put them on TrackMan. And the center strikes are actually still pretty similar. I'm hitting them almost the same distance, but it's when you get that little toe strike, that little heel strike, where the new technology is that much more forgiving. The MOI effect is real.
So that's an interesting thing. Like, as far as, because you work with not just like high profile, like juniors, but you work with your average, weekend warrior, 15, 20 handicaps, right?
Oh yeah. All our club golfer, we have 1,700 members between our two facilities, and our junior program has over 200 kids that's participated in just clinics, tournaments, camps, all the way from ages 4 to 17. But then, we have our ladies, we have our men's events, and we have a wide range of golfers here at the club that we all teach.
That's good. So, quickest way for someone, let's say you want to shave a shot or two, technology?
technology and course management. Everybody wants to go to the swing technique. They want to go to the driving range and, hit a bunch of, 6 and 7 irons. And I go, I want to look at your short game. I want to look at, your decision making out there. I want to see what the process is like.
And do you not think, Chris and I talk about this a lot, that people's focus is quite often in the wrong spot, and they are paying a lot of money. Even equipment, quite often the equipment won't make as much of a difference as the course management would.
Exactly.
And we discuss a lot of focus on what you're good at. And if that means hitting a 6-iron off the tee instead of a driver, because it will put you in play, then do that. And almost you have to cage your ego and while you are improving upon these other skills, and then and use what you have to shoot the best score possible on any given day.
Oh, that's 100% true, James. I look back and I laugh now at our time at Armstrong and kind of the thoughts we had on the golf course. And I hope Butler listens to this, because he'll probably cringe a little bit seeing, hearing these words come out of my mouth. But about course management decision making, it's not just hitting driver every hole and advancing it up there. There's plenty of times where it's just taking the 2-iron out or taking the 3-iron out, getting it in play, aiming 20 feet away, making an aggressive swing 20 feet away, and playing the hole. Each hole's a new battle.
Well, and I think this could be a perfect segue into quite a funny event that we experienced while playing with you on the 5th hole at the Savannah Quarters. I know Chris is eager to relive this one. So
definitely. All right. Well, I'll quickly set the scene and then we'll get into Jacob's head, because, honestly, I'll say this, before we get into this, this is one of the best or most fun experiences I've ever had on a golf course. But Jacob is probably one of the most raw, good talents that I've ever seen. Maybe the best raw talent. His swing speed, ability to hit the golf ball from either direction. His short game is really, really good. That being said, with how good that short game is now, even his putting's pretty good. We're on the 5th hole. It's 550 yards, and there's a bunker down the left, and there's a tree above the bunker. And he pulls his drive. It goes above the bunker. It's in the rough, and it's just short of this tree. Second shot to the green, there's water right, and then there's a huge low area and trees left. And we get up there, and James and I are looking at ourselves because Jacob's got the driver out.
Can we just mention that this ball wasn't lying well, and it was definitely 18 inches below his feet.
Yeah, he's got to hit it below the tree, and then he's got to hook it about 30 yards to get it towards the green. And then this thing goes straight in the pond. The best of this situation, he drops from 120 out, hits it to 20 feet, cans the putt, and then yells, what was it again?
No, he lipped out. I think he lipped
out. He lipped out, that's right. Yeah.
And with anger at the putt, I hate making bogeys.
Yeah, that was the course management back then. I joke, if a decade system was around for us and I was actually smart enough to read into those kind of statistics, the game would have been 180 complete opposite.
Well, and don't you think, certainly for Chris and I, we look at you as such a great talent, and how different could it have been, certainly for you with college, with results and sort of tournament performances, if you'd have had some direction and some coaching in that area, because it just wasn't around then. I personally never got taught how to play golf until I was with my current coach 5 years ago, and it just not spoke about often enough.
No, that's exactly right. I still remember it was Tim Weinhardt for me. It was after I graduated college and was actually playing pro for about a year when I found that instructor that literally just kind of got in my face and told me what I needed to do to take that raw talent that you guys talked about and turn it into results. And it definitely wasn't what I wanted to hear, but it was what I needed to hear. I take pride now in being able to give that kind of information to my students and other students wanting to get better. It may not be what they want to hear at the moment, but I know maybe a year or two down the line, it's really going to make a big difference in their game and how they play the game.
And so, what sort of stuff do you focus on when you are working on course management? Like, how do you go about, really gathering data with a particular student, and sort of acting upon their personal data rather than just a sort of basic set of principles that would be considered averages, but as we know, everyone's different.
It is. It's kind of funny. I actually still use fairways, greens, and putts. And then I do make notes down the bottom about penalty shots or missed opportunities, and then proximity to hole. And those kind of 5 lines on the scorecard, I'm making sure they're utilizing them. How many fairways we're hitting in the round, how many birdie putts we're giving ourselves, and how many overall putts are we having. And then, up and downs, whether they're for birdies on par 5s or, on par 4s, getting up and down for par. And then how close is that first putt on the green? Is it 20 feet? Is it 10 feet? Is it 30 feet, 40 feet? And kind of managing their expectations with what they're kind of showing me in the stats.
And Jake, let's say you get like a 15 handicap coming to you. And so it sounds like probably for the most part, one of the first things you're doing with them, let's get you thinking well. We can look at your swinging a little bit. What types of things are tracking data is different for, someone that's a plus handicap, basically, a professional versus a 15 handicap. What would you have them do?
Oh, 15 handicap, it's avoiding the hazards and the penalty areas off the tee. It's being able to play, a round of golf for them. They're losing 3, 4, 5 golf balls and even just 9 holes to shoot the scores. A lot of times here, Simsling's setting down. And it's literally just giving them, can we play, 9 holes with 1 ball, and what are we shooting with that 1 ball?
Cool.
Yeah, so instead of pulling out the driver or the 3-wood at every opportunity, it's like you said earlier, what can you get in play? And let's turn this par 4 into a 3-shot hole, as opposed to trying to get on there into time.
Oh yeah, and we have downtown Ansley is a 9-hole facility, and so we play twice from 2 sets of tees. And our 7th hole is a fairly easy par 5. There's a lake right in the middle of the hole from 150 to 110. But when it's a par 4, it's a good par 4. And a lot of times these 15 handicappers, they're trying to hit it over with a 3-wood on their second shot, and they can't cover. I'm going, guys, we can hit pitching wedge. We can put it just in front of the water. Then we hit a full 7, 6-iron just short of the green, and you're not going to make worse than 5 doing that.
Yeah, and it's not about it's not necessarily making the best score possible, because that one out of 10 might find the green or it might get over the water, but it's about playing the percentages so that you would over say 10 rounds or 15 rounds, how do you make the best cumulative score?
Correct. It's for me, each hole out there for the students, I want them to understand each hole is a new battle. And to win the war, which I call the war is 18 holes, we have to have a clear mindset. We got to have a positive mindset, and we got to make sure, everything is in the past. If we've already hit it, it's gone. We can't change that. We can only control the shot at hand, the present, and trying to execute that shot to their best ability, whether they're a scratch golfer or 20 handicap.
I really like that philosophy there, because I think we're all guilty of taking previous mistakes and bad shots to the next hole or to the next shot with us, and sort of letting that influence our decision making and our certainly our process for the shot that we've now got the opportunity to hit. And I don't think enough people work on sort of being present enough. And that's certainly something for Chris and I that we've sort of really immersed ourselves in over the last few years, isn't it? With the sort of philosophical approach to golf, and realistically, the only time to hit a shot is now, and it seems so cliche, but it is literally that one that is in front of you.
It really is. It's I've made a little note section. It was actually senior year of college. I wrote down 5 things in my my scorecard holder, and my favorite one is still you can't control the past, you can't predict the future, you can only control the shot at hand. And every player, every person I teach, I try to make sure, hey, we want to make sure where are you at in this shot, whether you made triple on the last hole or birdie on the last hole. What's your mindset right here, right now?
Oh, dude, I mean, that's such a great way to teach. And like you say, even if you made birdie on the previous hole, that could negatively impact your decision making on the next, because you might find that your students or even yourself would start taking more aggressive lines or taking driver instead of 3-iron because you feel good. But that's not necessarily the best way to shoot a good score, is it?
Correct. It's a way to shoot a score, but it may not be the best score you're capable of that day.
I really like that.
Well, you remember my wife, Laura. Oh, yeah, she went to, she got her undergrad in psychology and her master's in child and family psychology. And she's had a major impact on me the last few years, especially my coaching and my teaching. Oh,
yeah, mate. And let's face it, that girl, she deserves a medal anyway for still being with
him.
I count myself lucky every day. And it's this year's coming up on a decade together.
Yeah, mate. I mean, that is incredible. And we could also look at it at the fact that she had to go and get a psychology degree just to figure you out.
Oh, I still mess with her. I messed with her the other day. I go, she married her lifelong project. She just shakes her head at me in disgust.
Yeah, well, mate, you're definitely helping her do research. That's for sure.
Always, bud. Always.
Jacob, what would one thing I wanted to ask about? Obviously, like the three of us, we got to know each other at school. If you had like one thing like to tell, whether it's high school students or even like college coaches, like a way in which you think they could get better, the like quickest out there, and like enjoy college golf too, like based on your experience, what would you say?
I mean, it was a huge jump from high school golf to college golf, just the overall time management aspect. And you're getting thrown into not just, playing college golf, but the school schedule, the workout schedule, trying to have fun with your friends, trying to hang out with other just normal students, because, student athletes are treated a little bit different. They shouldn't be, but they are. And just enjoying that experience and that process and being able to handle it. And it's that was something I wish I could have handled a little bit better my second year. I feel like I handled it a lot better my freshman year, and then kind of just slipped away from me sophomore. And I really tried to get that back junior year. And that was when kind of really we all started hanging out, was my junior year down in Savannah.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, we've spoken about this before, but it's very difficult to, as you say, manage your time, because you're up at maybe 6 a.m. doing workouts. Then you've got class, then you've got to go straight to the golf course, then you've got like 5 hours at the golf course, you've got to qualify or practice or whatever it is. Then you've got to go back, eat, and then spend your evening doing work and try and fit in some form of socializing and normality in your life. And it's a big ask for certainly, 18 to 24-year-olds to be thrown into that and figure it out without any guidance.
Exactly. And that's where I look at the head coaches now. They're almost going to be that child's father while they're away at school. We're all moving away from home, moving away from our parents for the first time. That's where I talk to my juniors, and it's not just, what school are you trying to go play for? It's who you're going to play for. Who are you going to go represent? Not just the school, but the head coach as well. How is he going to be for you?
I think that's a great point. And even like just to touch upon like the being away from the parents, like like James just outlined, the days are long. And don't get me wrong, like you guys both had scholarship, like the school's paying you to like go and and represent it, which is a great thing. But in another aspect of it, yeah, like for all three of us, we were away from our parents, our homes for the first time. You have all this freedom, and I know that at times we probably definitely had our fun and
exploited that.
Exploited is the word I was looking for. But and I think obviously the schedule being what it is, it can be dangerous because I think that the rest aspect or even just the relaxation can totally get thrown out.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree with you, Chris. It's definitely a fight, and I think it takes a certain individual that wants to enjoy that fight and that battle. And I joke, we chose to do all that plus walk 36 holes the first day, eat a quick meal, wake up early, walk 18 holes the next day, then get back home and either finish your schoolwork or go to night class or go to study hall and get back at it on a Wednesday after a Monday, Tuesday tournament.
Yeah, and there was literally no recovery period in there at all. And I know certainly the physical fitness side of it will have certainly come on leaps and bounds from when we were there. That's obviously developing all the time, and with all these, I mean, Chris and I both wear a whoop now to sort of track our daily output of energy and our recovery. Mm-hmm. And as you just said, 36 holes. Let's face it, we weren't sleeping well. I mean, when we were at tournaments and you're away with the boys, you're having a good time, and there's three of you in a room, and good luck getting to sleep and getting a healthy recovery. You're just not going to do it. And I think there probably is more emphasis on that nowadays, but you need to balance it, don't you? Because even if you're just mentally exerting yourself with classes, it's still a form of strain, isn't it?
Oh, 100%.
I like what Jacob said a lot too about the person that you're investing your school and your future with, right? Because you need obviously you need to have someone that's going to guide you, still allow you to have a little bit of fun. You can't have if someone's just telling you need to be in bed at this time, you guys can't drink, you guys can't do it, go out and have any fun. Inevitably 18 to 22-year-olds are going to do it out of defiance anyways, right? So it's having a balance between letting the boys have some fun, but also keeping them on the rails and probably saying, okay, this might be better for a rest day versus coming out and practicing for 3 hours, and making sure that they're up to date with their studies. And I think I look at the grin on his face, James and I are bad culprits for spending more than 3 hours at the range. And we've talked about this a lot in the past. But you're just, I'll admit it. We weren't getting better. It doesn't matter how long you spend on that. Go and work on some stuff. Like you said earlier, go and learn how to manage what you can do and what you do well, and then go home and get caught up with your studies or get caught up with other aspects of life and get away from it. Versus, I mean, I know for me, just obsessed with trying to make every little aspect of a golf swing good when in reality it wasn't getting better anyways, right? So
yeah.
And Jacob Jacob got to watch this with his own eyes.
You guys grinded it out on the range more than anybody else on the team. I remember that still to this day. And I believe me, there's days where you need to do that. I still believe when there's a swing change that needs to be made, it needs to be done at slower speeds, and we need to be on the range with video and a little bit of technical work. And I'm very lucky at the facility where we're at, where we have access to TrackMan and to V1 and pressure mat using body track. That's where I've made sure to stay up with the certifications and make sure that I'm providing the best knowledge I can for these guys, because a lot's changed over the last 10 years. It's I want to go out. I actually took 3 of my lessons out yesterday, and we went on the golf course and played 4 holes an hour. And 15 minutes a hole. What can we get done?
I love that.
I like that.
Yeah, I think that one thing that gets missed, and it looks like it's not crazy busy out there today, so you have a little bit more ability to do it. But I think that if you're going to teach someone, whenever a student comes to you, I'm sure it's, how do I get better at golf? How do I lower my score? how much of that is truly done on the range versus the golf course? Well, the golf course is where you're scoring, right?
Correct. But if you don't have control of that golf ball, if you have a two-way miss going and you don't know when it's going to pop up or why, that's when it is time to put the time in on the range and define where that full control of that golf ball is. Whether you're at the 20 handicap or the scratch level, we're all going to have our days where it just clicks and days where, it feels like a pool noodle we're swinging.
100%. And we all know this from playing, to a fairly high standard. There are literally days when you could turn up and be 10 shots better or worse than the previous day, and you don't really feel any different.
Correct.
And you think, well, what's going on here? But there are so many factors at play, and that's why I think one round in and of itself is not enough to judge something. And certainly, I mean, you made some pretty big swing changes while we were in college. I mean, I always remember you saying to me that your fade was a 10-yard draw.
I still love telling people that story. Dude, I couldn't curve it left or right. If you had $1 million and a gun to my head, I'd just be like, pull the trigger. It ain't going that way. There was the banana slice. I had the banana slice shot for freshman year, 18 at Southbridge. That was a golf course qualifying that it was 17 draws off the tee and 1 banana fade.
The dirty bridge. That's a Derbster favorite there.
I love that golf course. I truly would love to play around there.
I would too. I think that would be a nice little trip. Go back down, play the course we used to play in college with now, and see what happens.
I have a feeling if we had Dirty Bridge on the lineup, I don't think we'd be seeing James.
No, I'd let you. I'd meet you in the bar after.
That's all right.
I wouldn't go to that place. No, it's all good fun. But and again, and this is where I think it's important that we sort of touch upon this right now is how your experiences in college golf could be somewhat negatively impacted by poor performance and not knowing where that poor performance comes from. Because I mean, certainly I speak for myself that I really struggled sort of personally and with the whole sort of balancing act, if you like, because I was struggling on the golf course, and I'd arrived from a college in Nebraska with good results behind me, a good summer of preparation before I got to Savannah, and then all of a sudden it kind of went out the window. So naturally it was like, well, I need to do more on the range, more at the golf course. Started neglecting everything else, and then it just kind of bled into a snowball effect of one bad decision after another, and mentally it was a big struggle. And I think a lot of guys go through, and gals go through that stuff if you don't have the proper direction as to how to balance it all out.
Oh, you're exactly right. And that's where it takes a team now. It's not just, a lot of players now don't just have one swing coach. They have somebody for the full swing, for short game, for putting, for mental, for nutrition, for psychological. And everybody has to be on the same page to get the best out of that player.
Yeah,
the player has to be invested in that team.
I think just to touch upon college golf, I think like the one fascinating thing about it, obviously golf being an individual sport, when you guys are there and you've got 5 people, and everyone's counting their scores towards a total, but then you have like the flip side of it, say where it's qualifying, and it could be between one person and the other. They're technically your teammate, but if you beat him, you're playing for the team. He's not, which is like a difficult thing when you put 10 or 12 guys together. Only 5 get to go travel, and realistically speaking, I think we've talked about it before, but I know I definitely should have utilized. I look at you, I look at Chad, certainly Travis and Corey, and like just really good guys at getting the ball in the hole, right? I should have definitely utilized that more and asked more questions and said, how do you guys do this? Like, what do you do to get that done? versus just being on my own and trying to make it work on my own, you know? I wonder what you would say about that, Tilton.
Oh no, I love that. And it is. I believe it's the person has their own process. If you look at those players you name, Shad's out there on the Corn Ferry Tour now, and he's full-time established. And his swing is definitely, still similar from back in college days. I keep up with him online and watch a lot of his swings, but his blueprint hasn't changed. And I believe every golfer that level has a blueprint, has their almost a golf DNA of how they're going to swing it, how they're going to, control that ball. And they'll have days where it gets a little off the plane, they lose a little control of that club face, or ball position slightly off. But they're looking at, okay, they know when those variables are off, and they know what to change out on the golf course at the right time too. Because if you try to make a change on the 5th hole and it doesn't work, do you just abandon it on the 6th hole, or do you keep it? Do you try to get on the 6th hole, and if it doesn't work, do you try to get on the next hole? That's where I joke, it's almost like quicksand. And the harder we try, sometimes the faster we sink in it.
Oh, mate, I love that analogy. I absolutely love that. And it's I think when you say, like, particularly guys like Shad, I mean, you know what? We at no point, I think, did anyone ever go, that guy has got an unbelievable golf swing. Mm-hmm. And there were guys on the team that hit it better than him, but no one was really better than him at getting it in the hole. And
no, they weren't.
I mean, even in college, he'd turn up and shoot 64, and you'd think, how? But he did it so often.
Yep.
And it just all the time. It was sort of mid-60s, and it was just the easiest thing in the world. But I know that Mark Bull, the biomechanist, and I'm absolutely paraphrasing here, so don't quote me on this, but he does talk about, the fact that we all have that sort of, as you said, DNA, where you are going to exhibit certain traits that you have simply grown up with. Like your first few years of your golf experience will greatly influence the rest of your career.
Oh yes, 100%.
And that might be, decision making, just the way you play the game, not just swinging, but also sort of how you go about your course management as well, which can always be worked on. But sometimes you have to just embrace how you play. So, like say for you and I, it was always a loss of birdies and a loss of drop shots. That was just the way it was, and certainly for me, the way it still is. Too many drop shots, unfortunately. But you've got a guy like Chris who might not necessarily make as many birdies, but he can go around and he won't make that many mistakes.
Correct. And how do you take the best out of both y'all's games to create, I call, a super golfer?
Yeah.
How do you get the guy that's going to go make 6 birdies and no bogeys? And we get to see it on TV with the PGA Tour. They make it look so easy, especially the last few days in Hawaii, where you look at a guy, Chris Kirk, he shoots 4 straight 65s, finishes tied second. Tell me another golfer when you go shoot.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, Tilton, if you figure that one out, please let us know.
Yeah, we'd like to subscribe. We'll let you teach us.
We'll pay you.
That's the best thing. I joke with the students. I don't teach a method. I try to find the best ability in each player, regardless of the handicap, and I want to capitalize on what they do well, and then what they do poorly. Not always make a significant change, but some adjustment to improve that part of their game. And there's not a book written yet that literally finds a way for everybody.
Yeah, and I don't think that there will ever be a blueprint. I mean, everyone that's ever been successful at anything has done it differently to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
You can always look at other people and say, well, they did that and they did this, but copying them won't get you the same results.
No.
You've got to find your own path, certainly.
Well, I'll have to get going in a sec, boys, but I'd like to ask Tilton one more. Just more or less, like, I think, what is it about golf? Because obviously you got a sporting background, athletic guy. But what is it do you think about golf, especially like when you were a teenager into college and even now? Like, you just enjoy so much about it that you've taken a career in it as well?
Oh, it was it's the individuality of it. It's on me. Whether back then when I was in high school, if I had a good day, it was on me. If I had a bad day, I had to own up to it. And it's not a team sport. Even though we have a team around us to make us our best player now, it is still an individual sport. You're out there now. You add the caddy in. It's a little bit of a team, but you get a caddy when you get to the big leagues. You're out there playing professional golf. You don't have a caddy until then, essentially. Yeah, and I really love that part of it.
And do you think that's something that players should really consider? Because I know personally I've struggled with this, where it is so individual. A lot of people, you almost crave that sort of social team spirited aspect of it. Do you think that it might be really worth considering that if that's something that you really crave, perhaps golf isn't sort of the thing for you to pursue?
No, unfortunately, that is kind of a fact. But there are other avenues for individual players. I've seen great golfers that chose tennis over golf. Same with swimming. I look at team sports, pitchers, kickers. They make really good golfers. I joke they're on a team sport, but in their position, they're pitchers out there on the mound by himself. A field goal kicker, place kicker is out there by himself. Only he can control the outcome.
Yeah, and you've almost got to, and perhaps like just create your own team, as you say. Like if you can create your own team and do it for other people as well, it might help.
It is. I mean, sorry to interrupt. No, but even like in Ansley, we have the resources, the facilities where we have a nice workout facility. We have trainers on site. We have TPI trainer certified. So if I'm giving a member a lesson who just doesn't have the flexibility in his hips, I'm going to, send a note over to our TPI instructor and just tell him, hey, can we get a little session? Can we get an evaluation? Is there a way to help them improve their mobility, the flexibility?
That's good.
Yeah. And that was so overlooked for so many years, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really well, gents. I'm gonna have to jet, but it was a blast catching up, and it's too bad that anyone that does listen or watch didn't get to see Jacob swing a golf club, but that's all right.
That's all right. I appreciate you guys.
We'll get him on the next one.
Yeah.
There we go. We can do a little range session.
We'll have to do it again in the future, buddy. But all the best, and we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good rest of the day, and we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, brilliant. Appreciate that, Tilton. Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.